Good morning, everyone. This is Charlotte, and we are talking in cars. Well, chatting in cars, if you want to be exact. Good way to cock it up first thing in the morning, right? Yes. Okay, so this is a podcast where I've chosen random topics. I've currently had about 4 or 5 cups of coffee because I've been up since 5 working on my businesses. But if you're going to stick with me and you don't mind someone talking like a fucking squirrel, we're going to talk about all kinds of things. I've pulled a topic out of a bag today. My topic for today is the age of determination. And there's a lot of different ways you can look at that. First of all, I'm going to say, firstly, before we even get started, that there is a trigger warning at the start of this podcast because I do swear and I do talk about personal topics, and these are all things that have happened to me or I've had some insight into. You absolutely can form your own ideas. You're a grown-ass adult. I'm not going to force anything on you. I can't make you do anything. I can't make you think anything. This is absolutely up to you. So if you want to turn this podcast off, I will accept that reality, and you can absolutely do that. Off you go. But if you want to listen to some more weird shit, and you want to know what the fuck I've been up to, it's probably very unpleasant, stay tuned. Meanwhile, it's Tuesday. Okay, so let's get started. Age of determination. Now, when I think about the age of determination, in westernized culture, it's usually you're considered an adult at 18. I am so sorry if I'm speed talking right now. I have had 5 cups of coffee. In a span of 2 hours. So 18 is considered an adult. Now I know that for a fact maturity does not occur in those kinds of circumstances. You can't just put a number on it and say, okay, I'm done, this is good, and I'm good to go. Maturity happens over a lifespan. There is no one specific time or date where you can say, okay, I'm an adult now. And for most part, most adults are sitting there going, I don't know what the fuck we're doing. So I think I can safely say that. Some of us are pretty clued on. We're like, okay, everyone else is doing this, so I'm going to copy that. And therefore I will be deemed as successful. But that's, of course, if you want to belong to that particular group or, part of society. Of course you'll reflect those values or practices or whatever and say, okay, this is adulting. Everything is interpretivist and social constructivist, so our versions of adulting and what is maturity differ a lot from one culture to the other, or from one subgroup to the other. So it could be based on sex, gender, ethnicity, class, life experience, everything. So what it is to be an adult is very open to interpretation. I'm in a Jewish culture, not that I'm Jewish, but the age of determination is around about 14. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I think about the age of determination. That's when they have their bar mitzvahs. I'm not sure if the girls do it too, but I know the boys do it. They have to learn particular tracts of the Quran, is it? I think. I'll have to fact check that. Don't take me for my gospel on that. But that's when they consider this individual to be of an age of an adult. My mum raised me as a Jehovah's Witness. They consider a similar thing. They think about 14 is when you know right and wrong, and that is your age of determination. Around about puberty, you start acting like an adult. I suppose because your body develops into like a adult form, that you should take on the mindset of an adult, or begin to at least. I know for a fact that some people never fucking grow up. Look at my ex-boyfriend. He's never going to grow up. What is the importance of the age of determination? I suppose it's something to do with, fitting into the society you want to exist in. If you are like me and you couldn't give a rat's ass because you're too old to give a fuck anymore, and you're, that jaded by reality and experience, the age of determination never fucking comes, really. The more times you think you've got a grasp of what adulting is, the more it changes up on you. There's never any successful version of adulting as far as I can see. I have done a podcast on it, yes. But even with my mindset, I change it on a daily basis with reference to, experiences I've had during the day or during the week or during the month. And yes, things change. We're going to have to accept that. That is part of adulting. I would hope to think that, the age of determination involves knowing what's right and wrong. I mean, not just on a social influence kind of level, but also on a moral level. I mean, we're all influenced from birth to know what's right and wrong. We all have a conscience. I mean, if you're talking to me in the esoteric ether sense, that is your touch of divine, the conscience. That's what keeps you clean morally. If you feel bad whilst you're doing something, it's probably because it's not right. It's like, I felt really bad while I murdered someone. Oh, well, you know what? Even society says that's bad. Oh, okay, cool. But no, what does it refer to exactly? It's like maturity. I mean, what is maturity? If you're looking at it from biological sense, it is getting to the sense where, or getting to the stage where you are old enough chronologically, biologically, to reproduce, I would assume, because that's what's deemed valuable in our culture, or in most cultures, actually. And when I say our culture, I mean westernized culture. I would love to get the input from someone of a different, I want to say directional culture, Eastern culture, Northern culture, I don't know. Why have we only got East and West? Why is that so limited? What about Northwest? What about that? Anyway, way too much caffeine. Let's carry on. So, where was I going with this? Too much coffee, okay. Our culture, what is it? Yeah, so we value, or I would assume, that most human cultures value child rearing, or childbirth, or reproduction, because it means the perpetuation of our society. It is a turning point. If we run out of babies, we run out of culture, basically, or we run out of, society in itself. It needs to be reproducible or replicable. I've seen civilizations die out, or you can Google civilizations dying out simply because they've run out of people. It was not passed on to the future generations. So, like the Syrians and that. I mean, who doesn't want to know cuneiform? Sorry, speed bumps. It's like driving through Canada at this point. Lots of speed bumps, potholes. That's the one, potholes. Yeah, remind me never to drive through Canada. It scares me. The idea scares me. Anyway, ice. So, we're given these jobs to do at the age of determination. We're supposed to know right and wrong. We've all got a conscience, of course. So it's pretty much a no-brainer that you should know not to murder anyone, not to fuck anyone over. Some people never get that, and I'm not sure if it's based on their life experiences, possible. Nature versus nurture. I don't know why versus. Nature and nurture. They are together. It's a symbiotic relationship. I don't know why people keep separating and creating some kind of weird dichotomy there. They are co-linked. You can't separate them. It's like, oh, it's just designed that way. Is it? Or is it because of this? It's strange to have them separated. Is it what we're supposed to be doing? I mean, what are we supposed to be doing? Looking at maturity levels. I mean, for the most part, in the past, say 1950s era, okay? So the age of determination meant that you finished school, you got a job, you had a family. You got your house and then you had a family, of course. This was the very, respectable thing to do. This is what you did because you had the level of maturity. Of course, things change now. People are changing their minds. They don't want kids. They don't want to buy a house because, well, in my case, because I'm a millennial, I physically cannot because the boomers are hoarding them. I wish I could afford it, but, those avocados, they're so fucking expensive. I got mine for free the other day, though. I'm pretty stoked. But, it's our benchmarks have changed. So our definition of the age of determination has changed as well. And, with the introduction of things like the contraceptive pill, women are having children later. And we've got IVF, so again, we're having children later. So if that was something that would define the age of determination for a woman, it's completely different now compared to like the 1950s. We're not having to stay at home and raise children. We can do everything if we want, if we're willing to put the effort in. I mean, the blessing of things like contraceptives and things like that is that we're no longer defined by our ability to only reproduce. We've added value to ourselves because now we can also work. We can also, choose alternative lifestyles from being the baby factory. Which I thoroughly am in support of because I know what it is to be a single, well, I don't know what it is to be, I know what it is to interact with women who are single mothers and don't have any other alternative because maybe they got pregnant to a man who promised that they would be looked after, only to bail on them, and so they have to stay at home, raise kids, and they just haven't bothered to educate themselves, and they can't get a job and things like that. You could absolutely these days go back to school and retrain, but the stress of trying to raise children and retrain is intense. So if you want to, that's a lesson in self-worth. It's like, why put yourself in a position where you could limit yourself? That was one of the things my mum taught me, even though she taught me quite harshly. She said, no, you're going to do it all. And I'm like, okay. I don't give a fuck if you've got a uterus. You're going to do it all. You're going to do the boy things, you're going to do the girl things. Yeah. It's interesting, though, because you pick up a shitload of skills. I absolutely, regardless of what you were given at birth, innies or outies, you should definitely expand your skill set into whatever. Fuck it. The more the merrier. You should be diversified. I mean, talking about investments, you're diversifying your portfolio, so fucking diversify your life and your skill set. Why limit yourself to, oh, girls only do this, or boys only do this? So fucking have a go at everything. What's the fucking problem? Anyway, that's changed. The benchmarks have changed. For men, I find there is a culture of, they're less inclined to, I don't know if this is just me, less inclined, from the experiences I've had, of course, to step into maturity as we need them, basically, as women. We need them to have a particular level of maturity so we can, constructively build with them together. From my experiences, my ex-husband, who is 37 at this point, still has not figured out how to be a productive male. My ex-boyfriend, same deal. He's 40. Still, or 41 this year, actually. Still no concept of how to be a productive male. He's still leeching off any girl that he can find. My ex-husband was leeching off me. I don't know where he is now or what he's doing. I don't care. But you know what? I did not hold value in the age of determination when I looked at him when I found him, because I was 17 at the time. And we started dating at 17. And then we got married at 27. And then I got divorced at 33. So he got me young, and I didn't understand the value of it at that point. I didn't look for, the maturity I needed at the time, because I wasn't mature myself, obviously. I was 17. And he wasn't mature himself because he was 17. But through the progressive years that came after that, I developed that, fierce sense of independence and needing to get shit done. And the maturity came by being exposed to this other individual who didn't want to do his part. So there is some value in the lesson there as well. What fucked him over, essentially, is that I left. I called his bluff because he gave me this ultimatum that I had to have an open marriage or he was going to leave me. So I said, fuck it, and I left. That was my sign of maturity. I'm like, I'm not taking this shit. I'm not going to sit with this and wait for you to bring some whore home. I'm just not. So I left. I packed my shit, left with the shirt on my back, and I got out and I handled my shit. It was horrible, but I knew it was the right thing to do. And that was my maturity level arcing up, going, fuck this, I'm not handling this, I'm not doing this. If I had been, having a tantrum about it, if it was a reasonable request and I hadn't walked away still, having a mini tanty, I would understand that that's a question of maturity. For example, my ex-boyfriend, he keeps trying to email me at the moment, saying he misses me. I send back emails saying no, because, and I do, and you're not supposed to give back these massive paragraphs of explanation. But the thing is, I emphasize at the start, it's like, look, no, because it's off the table, just no. But to help yourself, and then I go into, last one I went into depth, 11 points about why he needs to, grow up, get a job, stop doing drugs, stop heavy drinking, stop smoking, stop hanging around with assholes, stop fucking around with whores and all this kind of thing. This man is a fucking moron. He's 41. His immaturity showed me, now I know for a fact he had a tanty about that because his feelings were hurt. All I did was highlight the shit that's going wrong in his life and he needs to fix it. I gave him advice. I offered support. I said, look, I can help you set some goals and things like that if you want, but I can only do it by email because every time we meet up, he gets me drunk and he tries to fuck me. And it's like, I'm not doing this, okay? So that's my relationship with maturity kicking in, saying, look, I can understand this circumstance will lead to this. I'm not even, giving it a chance. I will help you, even though you've hurt me considerably, like considerably. This guy was an absolute fucking prick, and all he had was 2.5 years. access to me, and he fucked me up beyond, I'm like, I can't do that, no. So I was still offering help, and I know for a fact he has gone to his friends and he has said that I'm the asshole for pointing out these things and I'm a controlling asshole, right? And I'm sitting there going, no, I didn't say I would make you do these things. I suggested these were the things you need to do to fix your life. I will help you if you need help. But that shows the contrast in levels of maturity. It's like, I'm saying I want to help you, even though you've hurt me, I will help you because I'm not an asshole. He turns around and he says, well, he says to his mates that I'm an asshole and I'm controlling. And it's like, you know what? I don't have to help you. I don't have to. And I know where he's going for the next God knows how many years because I've seen it time and time again. He's going to be still hanging around in bars with whores who are using him for his money and what little money he has. And he'll be in and out of relationships because he's toxic as fuck and he's been doing it for the last 20 years. And I've sat and watched him and I'm like, you're just not getting the hang of what you need to do. But that's his choice. He has not quite, reached any kind of level of maturity. I saw a quote once on Facebook. It's like, well, it was something to do with like a man who accepts help or acknowledges help is mature, and the other one is the one who creates problem or sees it as an insult lacks maturity, or something like that. I would Google that. That's a good quote. I should put it on my Facebook. But it does show the difference. It's like if someone came up to me and asked, offered me help in a certain area, I'd take it because I'm like, look, more the merrier. If you're going to help me, if anyone's willing to help me without strings attached, I'd love it because, you want to survive, you want to get ahead, you want to build. That's part of the growth mindset, is part of growing up. You need to grow the fuck up. It's part of life. It's nothing weirder than he's going to be, at some point, might make it to 60. He might make it to 60. The way he treats his body, I don't know, but he might make it to 60. He's 41 now. He's losing his shit. But he's still trying to act like a 20-year-old. He's still chasing after girls. And at that point, it just comes across as a dirty old man. You're chasing 20-year-olds, dude. It's not going to work. And I can accept that there is some age group or age gap there. Like, I'm 37. I'd go for a guy in his 50s. I would not go for a guy in his 60s. I would, I don't mind that level of age group, but at the same time, if you're 40 and you're aiming for a 20-year-old, and I don't want to know why you're aiming for a 20-year-old, that just strikes me as pedophilia to a certain degree. I'm going, those guys have barely hit puberty, and you are chasing like some gross old dude. Although I will say that women get a better rap for that. We get called cougars. I'm going, if I went for a 20-year-old kid, I'd lose my mind because I'd be constantly feeling like a mum. It's like I don't find that attractive. I don't, because I'm old enough to be their mum. And I'd be sitting there wondering worrying if they're eating enough and shit. Are they warm enough? It's like, so for me, I always go older. I don't go younger. It weirds me out. I do feel like I'm dating a child. Yeah, no. I have had guys hit on me, though, that were, like, in their 20s. I'm going, what are you doing, dude? I'm old enough to be a mum. I don't know if they've got some mummy issues. I don't know. Having said that, the 41-year-old had mummy issues, so... See, all kinds of mummy issues, except he wants someone to wipe his ass. And I'm like, no, dude. You're too old for that now. You gotta handle your shit. Everyone else is looking at you like you're crazy. And you'll find that with the lack of maturity and the lack of willingness to act like an adult, they will become more isolated because nobody wants to wipe their ass. That's unfortunately one of those facts. And the girls that they're chasing will be creeped out by them because they're hella old and they're still chasing them. And it's like, oh great, the creepy old dude's here, yay. Awesome. Yeah, we just want to go out for drinks with our friends, so why the fuck are you here? And, what is that movie where it's got Matthew McConaughey and he's going, I get older and the girls get younger? It's like, that is not attractive. I don't know why he did that movie, it's just creepy. Yeah, I don't know if it was meant to be creepy, but having said that, I don't find him attractive anyway, so that's just my humble opinion. Other people find otherwise, of course. Don't even get me started on how annoyed I am that Brad Pitt is considered a sex symbol and Keanu Reeves isn't. What the fuck? Why? I don't understand that. How many times was he voted sexiest man? I'm going, why? I don't get it. I don't get it. He's got weird eye issues. He's constantly squinting. Yeah, I don't get it. Anyway, Keanu Reeves, hot. Anyway, carry on. Or maybe it's just my generation, I don't know. But then again, he's the same age as Brad Pitt, so I don't know. Weird. Yeah, I've noticed now everybody's getting mullets and things again, so that's scaring me. They got like pedophile mustaches and mullets. It's creepy. I don't like it. Anyway, what's deemed attractive these days? Oh God, I don't know, dude. Why are we going back to the 80s? I was born in the 80s. It's not fun. It's very scary. So, what is the purpose of having the age of determination? I suppose it's to do with social cohesion. You want people to stick together. You want them to act or behave a certain way. If they can do that, then society can perpetuate, or our version of society, I should say. It varies from culture to culture. There's no point putting that much pressure on people because, like perfection, like normalcy, it doesn't exist. There is no normalcy. Unless, of course, you're talking about what the majority are doing. But then again, where do you draw the line where you determine what's the majority? There's always you can always move that line. It's like the majority is, say, 50% of the population. It's like, is it? What about 80%? And that way the benchmarks move as well. There is no normal, I'm afraid, people. There is no normal. We're just going to have to all be our own little individual self. Nobody tell China. They love the collectivist culture. They live on it. It's scary. You know, you're all individuals, right? But then again, that could be me being biased from westernized culture, where we do value individualism. I will maintain as a teacher that all kids will develop at their own rate, in their own way. That's what makes it such one of the reasons it makes it such a challenging job. It's because you've got to hit the right spot with each kid so they do keep progressing educationally. I find that it's a challenge when you come to finding a mix of behavior issues with educational issues, with family issues, with... It's a nice little... So if you ever want to get into problem solving on a scale where you get paid, that might be your job for you. And all the parents want their own individual education plans for their child. I'm going, there's 30 kids in this fucking room. I'm barely hanging on. I don't know how to help you, dude. Yeah. Why are teachers so stressed? Why are they leaving the profession? Oh, I don't know. A shitload of asshole entitled parents that want everything customized to their own wants and desires. Helicopter fuckers. Fail to recognize that it's actually a socializing process, trying to get the kids to actually survive in a society which is slowly dying. But that's fine. I'll give Timmy 10 minutes brain break time. That'll make up for your shit parenting. Oh my God. That's fine. Never mind that we send them home to these people at the end of the day, only to have them retrained into being an asshole. I tried to socialize them. It didn't work. Why? Because they spend the majority of the time with you. And you're not socialized. Oh, it's hilarious. Anyway. Oh, look at Jag. Why are you here? In this area. Oh, it's probably a drug dealer. Anyway, I'm sorry if you can hear the rain. It is winter in Perth, Australia. And we are... Well, it's not actually, it's spring now. I've got my second birthday coming up soon. I'm super stoked. I've already figured out what I'm doing. What else can I tell you about the age of determination? It's relative. It doesn't really mean anything because everybody's got their own version of what, being mature is. I wouldn't hold so much emphasis on it. With the times changing, the version changes all the time anyway. So nobody's got a real grasp on what the definition of it is. If you're talking about it in a social, construct, it's all abstract anyway. So it doesn't mean anything in the long term. You're still going to be born, you're still going to die. It doesn't change anything. It's only relative, I think, if you want social approval. Like, I haven't got the social approval thing. I could give a rat's ass about anyone at this point, because I have seen what people do. I've seen how people around me have reacted. I put them in their own little compartments as to what they have helped me with or what they have hindered me with. And you'll find, I think, honestly, as you age, people, some people are deserving, some people are not deserving of your time and approval. And I don't give out my approval very well anyway. Except when kids, I love kids, man. I want them to survive, I want them to be supported. But when it comes to adult, I hold them to a really high degree. I'm going, you are an adult. You should be acting in a particular way. If you don't. Having said that, doesn't that just create bias in this? Because, like, I shouldn't know. Because if I'm not being a hypocrite in myself, then I would say that these adults have their own version of what, self-determination is. So I shouldn't be ragging on them. Ooh, I like that. That's critical thinking. I like that. Let's do some more of that. Anyway, so maybe our perceptions of what is the age of determination should be. Ooh, hello, ambulance. Is based on our own experiences where we've created our own benchmarks, which would make sense. But then again, how do we know which benchmarks are right or useful? I suppose you could look at it from the aspects of, what is actually useful to us. Hang on, I need to get around this fucking Jag. Ugh, I hate those guys. Anyway, no. Beamers piss me off. Beamers. Ooh, nearly tail-ended up. Yeah, so it's open to interpretation, same as perfection and normalcy. It is whatever you make it to be. If you want to go Nietzsche about it, you are what you create yourself to be. If you want to go into the ego, superego, and id, I'm going to do a podcast on that. People will create their own reality, basically. There's a guy riding in the rain. Oh no, did not bring an umbrella. What do you want to do with your life? That's the ultimate question. It's like, what is your purpose? I can tell you what I think the 4 purposes of life is, and I'm going to do that in another podcast. I started doing that one, and then I got involved in accidentally wandering into a crime scene. That was odd. Yeah, I had to stop that podcast because the police shouted at me. So, long story there. Welcome to where I used to live. But I can tell you what my version of it is in a greater scope of things. But what you do in the microscope is, apply your life experiences to what you think you should be doing. What are your goals and aims? Are they constructive? Are they productive? Do they harm anyone? That should be first, really. You shouldn't be seeking to actively fuck someone over to get ahead in life. That is just cruel shit. I've known a lot of people that just feed on ego, and they end up screwing up so many people just because it's just greedy or arrogant or selfish. I think, honestly, maturity comes with being able to determine circumstances or be involved in circumstances that don't perpetuate harm to others. I do have a belief system where you can, do no harm but take no shit sort of thing. And it does sound aggressive, the last part, take no shit. But at the same time, you're going, I know what's right and wrong. I know what's going to hurt people. This is why I don't understand why people can have open relationships and that. It's one of the things, besides the fact that I'm like a rule keeper when it comes to things like relationships and love and things like that. I value it intensely. That's why I don't break those rules. To me, love is like paramount to everything. It feeds everything. It creates everything. So when you've got someone who's just so willing to throw away someone's affection and care for someone in favor of, chasing tail, I get pissy. I don't understand why they're doing it. Like my ex-husband, for example, it's like, I know he just wanted a fling. If he wasn't cheating on me already, I knew he would just wanted a fling. I knew he already had someone in mind. I knew it was at least one of his clients, which is why he suddenly started changing. He started adapting to circumstances that would be in favor of hanging around this person. He started hiding shit. He started creating me as the villain. I know, because it sort of justified his shitty actions. Because if I was the bad guy, then it's okay to be an asshole to me. And I'm like, okay, I don't remember this. And this is all of a sudden as well, because I had him for 16 years. Suddenly this occurred. Suddenly I was the villain. Suddenly, suddenly he wanted to go hang out with these people. And suddenly I wasn't allowed access to his phone. Not that I was like going anyway. It didn't occur to me to go down his phone or his email or anything like that. I mean, nothing in the last 16 years had any kind of a lock on it. No computers had locks on it. My phone doesn't have a lock on it now. I thought it was an open relationship. Not that I went looking anyway, because I'm just not that kind of way. It's like I trusted him. But with the sudden change, suddenly he wants the finances separated. And it's like, I should have clued on that he was leaving to start with. And I know he went for a fling, because it's just, I have a strong, strong feeling that no one would put up with his shit for long. So he's thrown away his life. That shows a lack of maturity. He didn't value what he had, and he had everything up front. I'm the kind of person that gives everything up front. I kind of suck in that way, because there's nothing to fight for. If I'm just giving it to you, there's no... At the same time, I don't think you should create this problem where you're, being nasty to someone and holding back shit. I don't. I'm not designed that way. When I'm with someone, I'm giving everything. I like that. I don't like holding back. So he got everything really easily up front. He never had to earn it. He never had to fight for it. And in that case, I was a bit of a soft touch, because I was a doormat. I just let him do whatever he wanted. But the straw that broke the camel's back was the ultimatum. And I'm like, I can't let you do that to me. Not after all this. So I was pretty chuffed with myself that I stood up for that. It fucking hurt like an ass, but I'm glad that I stood up for myself in that regard. If ever I stood up for myself, that was the most important way of doing it. And that was to do with fidelity. Because I knew if we had an open relationship, it would emotionally destroy me. And more further than he did to me already. And he was an overt narc, so he was constant criticism, constant taking down, constant, just nasty snide comments and actions and things like that. Selfish behaviours. And I ignored them because I supposedly thought I loved him, and we were married. Maturity comes with saying, these things are not good for me, I'm leaving, I'm afraid. And it was sad. And I still don't believe in divorce, but to be honest, it was the last resort I had. Can you imagine coming home and finding him on the couch or in bed with someone, and you have to be fine with it because you agreed to it? If you've been given that ultimatum, it's like you have to have an open marriage, or I'm leaving. It's like, I think a sign of maturity would have been to leave, and a sign of immaturity would have been to take that shit. Some people can handle it, maybe, I don't know. I knew it would have crushed me, because that's not why I went out with him, that's not why I married him, that's not what I believe in. It's lacked authenticity if I had tolerated that. That was some soul-crushing shit. That really fucked me up. I couldn't believe he would do that to me. So he lacks maturity, because he knew that would have done that to me. So some people never reach that stage of determination. I hope he does eventually. I think, honestly, if he takes enough punches himself emotionally, because I have a feeling he's gone out into the world, because he had a very sheltered relationship. It's like we both met each other at 17, got married at 27. So as far as I know, it was just me and him. I don't know. Maybe there were extra people, because he's not a monogamist, Christ knows. So I think he's gone out into this world thinking he's hot shit, basically, and he can pull, even though he's balding, even though he's, got fucked up teeth and he's arrogant and he's an arsehole. All these things, he thinks he's hot shit. And that might be slightly my fault, because I tend to pump them up when I get them. I don't know why. I want them to feel nice about themselves. So I'm constantly pumping up their self-esteem. So when they get out of it, it's going to be a bit of a rude shock when he finds out that he's not nothing to offer. So, whoops. My bad. Not really. I think he's gone into the world assuming that people will want to sleep with him, and I would laugh my ass off if it turns around that nobody does. Am I being too vindictive? I don't know. It's like, yes, all this arrogance pays for nothing. I find it hilarious. I don't like assholes. I really don't. I love it when they get their just desserts. Knowing what I was like to him in the relationship, in the marriage, there was no excuse, like zero excuse to be that way. I don't know why he suddenly turned like that. I don't know. I was a very soft wife. I still am in relationships. I'm still very soft. I'm very catering. I want them to be happy, so I give them everything. In result, they become spoiled little shits. I don't know what to do with myself there. Anyway. Yes. Okay. Anyway, that's enough of my trauma for the day. What can we take away from this? Age of determination. Yes. Overall, it is relative to the individual. It is relative to the context. It is interpretivist. Our versions of what is maturity is going to be different from someone else's. There might be slight similarities. There might be parallels, but at the same time, everyone's unique. Everyone's got their own experiences. So our version of what maturity is of course going to be different from other people. The thing is not to emphasize it too hard, I suppose. Even though there are some benchmarks you should be doing constructively as an adult. I know, like, just not generally fucking with people's feelings is a major one. But if you're worried that by 40 that you still aren't married with kids, then don't stress too much. I mean, I'm 37 and I'm divorced and I haven't got kids. And I'm still like, I don't want kids anyway, quite frankly. I lost my house. You assume that you're going to make these decisions early on in life and they're going to last, hopefully, right? But the reality of the situation is that it changes. Everything changes. We can't really pick and choose given what events will occur. So we're just going to have to roll with the punches. It's 8 o'clock. I got to go into work. I've got other teachers staring at me now. So I'm hoping you have an amazing Tuesday. Take it easy. Relax. Try and be constructive with your life, obviously. Everyone is trying to. At this point, everyone's just trying to get paid, I think, because we're all worried about recessions and shit. Wars. COVID. It's all horrible. Isn't it lovely? Anyway, take it easy. Now, I will see you tomorrow because I'm absolutely up to date with my podcast, so I can actually do one a day now. I'm pretty stoked. All right. See ya.